The following podcast may contain adult language and an abundance of salt, so get ready, nerds, because we're talking to the cinematographer of C, Michael Snyman. Welcome and thank you guys so much for joining us on this special episode of the Salty Nerd Podcast. I am your host, Alex the Salty Nerd, and I am joined as always by my fantastic panel of nerds. Matt Vader is here. Welcome, sir. How are you doing, bud?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
It's nice to see you.
I know. I'm glad to be back in.
Good.
And also our ambassador of estrogen, Jude, is here.
Hi.
How are you today?
I missed you.
I know. I miss being here. And the producer of the show, Matthew Kadish. Welcome.
So I am very excited to be talking to Michael because I'm a behind the scenes guy. I like all of like the nerdy filmmaking stuff, and Michael being a cinematographer, I'm gonna have lots of questions for him about his craft. So yeah. I'm excited about this.
I am too. I found out earlier today that you worked on one of my favorite shows, The Night Manager. So I'm going to be asking you a ton of questions about that show. And of course, the man of honor today, Michael Snyman. Welcome, sir. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. Yeah, all the way from Cape Town. Glad to be here. Really good to be here.
We were talking a little bit before we started recording about how you kind of found out about us. There's a young film student on set of C that kind of turned the director on to our show. How did you guys find out about us, and how'd that go down?
Well, actually, he wasn't on set. Actually, it's a director's son who turned his father onto it, and Anders, our director, just started coming up with these quotes every Saturday morning. And I was going, where are you getting these quotes from? Like, you know, he started talking about Archie and he started talking about, I'm like, where are you getting this from? And he said, yeah, Salty Nerds. Have you not heard about Salty Nerds? I said, no. So, So we started to tune in, and you were just a wonderful hit on a Saturday morning around the prep table. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Totally awesome.
Well, thank you guys again for all the cast and crew and production. You guys have been wonderful. Your sense of humor is amazing. So thank you guys. Really appreciate the support. And we're so happy to have people from the show come on and talk to us and set us straight about our ridiculous antics that we have.
And we're happy to have such a great show to like kind of make fun of and have fun watching and talk about.
Yeah.
You know? Now that we know you guys are in on the joke, we're going to double down on that.
Michael, tell us real quick, for people who might not know, what exactly does a cinematographer do on set? What is your day-to-day work like? And how much influence do you have over how the show ends up in the final product?
Yeah. What would you say you do here?
Cinematographer, psychologist, same thing. No, I'm just kidding. A cinematographer's main aim is to service, firstly, the show and service the directors and the actors. That is what, we complement the lighting, we complement the cameras. We collaborate hugely with everybody before we even get to camera. So when we do get to camera, we have our look and feel dialed in. We have discussed it. We've done tests. We shoot tests before most shows, so we have a really good idea of where we are and what we're doing. However, C was a different animal. It was, we were coming off a season that had already been shot, and Jonathan we had to take it to, let me say, another level. We had to open up the story and begin this world of turmoil between sisters and families, and it was a big interior show. COVID just took us interior a lot, and so it was so cinematography, within that was really challenging. There was a lot of moving parts every single day, and so yeah, that's pretty much what my role was, and what a cinematographer does, apart from, it creates the look, the color, the lighting, the framing. I like to operate the camera myself, so because I come from an operating background, I cannot put it down. So, 30 kgs on the shoulder every day for and off we go. And I just find it, I can really get into the actors' heads, and we can work together. And that's how I'd like, to work with an actor is one of my greatest, one of my greatest, one of the greatest feelings that you can have. And yeah, so that's pretty much what I believe the cinematography is. Apart from everything else they tell you it's all about how the audience feels, and it's about trying to get an emotion out of the audience. The rest really doesn't matter.
Well, when we were talking with Jonathan Tropper, he was singing your praises about, like, you worked with him on Warrior, and he brought you over from Warrior to See and all that stuff. And he said that you basically redesigned the entire look and feel of the show. Mm-hmm. So like the first season, which you didn't work on, it was like kind of warm, earthy colors. And then season 2, like a big jump was like the very cold, desaturated look. How did you kind of decide to settle on like that type of look for season 2?
Well, firstly, I mean, the season 1 was relatively sort of, let me say, bucolic, for a lack of a better word. It was set in amazing British Columbia, and they had such amazing backdrops, and real, Francis really loves his locations. So I mean, everything was shot on location, etc. And we went into a situation where it was full winter, and I felt like we had to portray the struggle of where we were and what we were doing, and to do that, one day it can be snowing and you're on the same scene, and the next day you're on the same scene and it's full sun. So, sometimes the scenes would carry on over a week. So, and I'm sure sometimes you can see it, if you look really closely. I just felt it needed to portray the struggle of the families, and it's, apart from which, it's the only way I really know how to film. That's what I do. That's how I feel something. And as a cinematographer, when you feel something, you've got to go for it. You just got to go for it.
On a technical side, can you kind of describe how you handle a situation where you're on set and one day it's snowing and it's cloudy and you have an overcast, and the next day it's sunny? Like, how do you mitigate that change to keep the continuity on screen for the audience? Like, what kind of stuff do you have to do?
Money. No. If I was in a situation where it was snowing and dark, it really gets quite dark in Toronto. It's just, the weather can be super brutal, and it was brutal. And the next day is sunny. You have to really pick the eyes out of the scene the day before, and also have an amazing director who can work with you. And then you start. You get all the wider stuff off the day before, and all the masters, and when you get into close-ups, you can sort of start to control the lighting situation, and you can start to control the background, and I can start to put in fake snow and fake wind and all that kind of thing. That's how that works.
Okay, gotcha.
So the teams are pretty huge.
So when you're working with a director, what would you say is the biggest difference between a director and a cinematographer? What two roles that those guys have, and how do you collaborate together?
Sometimes there's very little difference. For instance, on the show I worked with I'm just going to relate to C because it's my last thing. On C, Anders is absolutely dialed into the camera. He knows what it can do. He knows how to get what he wants, and that makes my job really easy. And I'm the one who's dealing with the actors, who are very often a foot and a half away from the lens, and I'm dialing into the actors, and then we collaborate on exactly that. He knows what he wants it to look like. He knows what he wants to get out of the actors, and I'm the one who has to get it.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that cinematographers work that closely with the actors on like a scene by scene basis.
Is that typical?
Yes and no. It all depends on the actors. It all depends on how much the actors would like to invest.
Was there a particular actor on the show that you like to work with more than others? I don't want you to like play favorites, but
that one guy's a real dick. But I liked this other guy.
Was there any? Do you have any fun stories about Jason Momoa getting mad at you or crazy stuff like that or anything like that? I don't know.
No, Jason is a cinematographer in his own right, man. He is he's insane. He works with you. He's really not the guy that he knows where his bread's buttered. If he could take the camera himself and film himself, he would. It's like that's how into it he is. And I'm not just kind of blowing smoke here. I'm telling you, that's how he is. I mean, he owns like a plethora of red cameras. He's got cameras for Africa around his house. I know that he was a very gracious man to work for. Queen Kane was insane to work with, like insane. She brought it.
Yeah.
She brought it. She really brought it. And when she brings it, you brought it. You just bring it. It takes you on takes you to another level. All of them had their ways. Archie was really difficult.
We knew it. That's why he gets the short end of the stick.
It's like I just have these pictures in my head of you behind the camera when you're filming this scene of Archie, getting a little frisky with his aunt. It's like how that's going down. It's like, okay, Archie, you need to arch your neck a little bit more or something.
Yeah. Can you just drop your left leg a bit?
Be really into this.
You got to at least look like you're enjoying this.
Everybody stop laughing.
Don't forget.
Actually, those scenes are so intense to film. It's like the actors are not comfortable. You as the director of photography is there. There's no one in the room. It's you and the actors and the sex coach.
Wait, there's a sex coach?
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to roll that back a minute.
We're gonna need to talk about the sex coach for a minute.
A sex coach. Yeah, well, they intimacy coach. Excuse me.
Okay.
How can I get one?
We need to interview one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you hook us up? We want to interview C's intimacy coach.
Yeah, I'll hook you up. I'll get Anders to send me I'll get Anders to send me the phone numbers.
Oh,
yeah. So
how can I book a package with the sex coach? Is it like a 6-session deal or what?
Does she charge by the hour?
You guys are terrible.
I'm sure she does. No. It was So they become very intense and extremely disciplined. Huh? It's not something to. You have a good laugh afterwards, with everybody that, I can't believe we just did that. But to portray and the scene and to get what you want out of the scene, it's incredibly intense to shoot. We're not joking around when we do that.
Yeah, for sure. I can completely understand.
It's kind of embarrassing, right? It's kind of weird. It's kind of embarrassing.
I'm sure at a certain point you're like, we have to get this done in one shot because I'm not doing it again.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. And we did a lot of that. It's like one shot. That's it. Here we go. And then they just do what they got to do. They do what they do best.
So we interviewed James Madigan not too long ago, and one of the interesting things about C seasons 2 and 3 were that you guys were shooting a second unit and a first unit simultaneously, just trying to make the schedule, especially for season 2. So what role did you have with coordinating with the second unit? Because I imagine you'd work with the cinematographer for them and kind of tell them how to get the look and feel that you're going for.
In particular, we're talking about episode 8 of season 2. That was the big episode for them. Now, let me just say that scene wasn't prepped for a hell of a long time. The script on episode 8, which entailed 98% of the second unit, was so ambitious that it had to change during the COVID times. It was so expansive. So that story really only got dialed in not long before we shot it, to be honest. But I had prepped a much bigger story already. So we started to shoot the second unit actually, and we started to shoot that episode, and then there were a couple of COVID cases. We shot for 2 or 3 weeks, and then the show shut down for 6 months, or 4 or 5 months.
Dang.
Yeah, the show shut down for 5 months to deal with this whole COVID issue. This is when COVID, Corona Extra was lurking around, and we shut down, and the producers decided the best form of attack was to keep it tight and to have one director and one DP finish the entire show. Now, James Madigan had already started that episode, and he had prepped the whole episode, so it was extremely difficult not to have him there. So he directed, and the main unit took over the rest of the rest of that episode, which took almost 5-6 weeks of shooting.
So my biggest question as just a consumer of content, I watch movies all the time, and there's such a huge difference from what TV used to be in like the 90s and early 2000s to what the quality of TV shows are today. Mm-hmm. Like C is movie quality.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's epic.
Yeah. Everything about it looks like it's made for a big screen movie production. What would you say is the biggest change that's happened over the past 20 years or so that's caused that change in feel and vibe and just quality of content coming out of TV shows lately, which I think rival a lot of the big budget Hollywood movies out today?
I think, TV 20 years ago or 10 years ago, I could say 10 years ago, was just that. It was TV. It was commercials, and that's what funded TV. It wasn't necessarily cheaper, but we could go to the cinema and sit in a cinema to watch a big screen movie, and that's what you did. That's how you watched movies. And I think that the coming on of the digital era has completely transformed that you could have big budget productions, massive production, with huge scope and scale and everything that rivals a feature film on TV. And you can not only have it for 90 minutes or 180 minutes, you can have it for 10 episodes.
I put shows like Game of Thrones, like you can easily throw that in the cinema somewhere.
Go
to the theater and watch an episode of Game of Thrones, watch an episode of C, and it feels like it's an hour and a half long movie, especially those longer episodes like the premieres and stuff.
Without a doubt, yeah.
I think it's becoming more commonplace that people are watching movies and TV from the same place, from their couch now. So it's got to be comparative.
Yeah. Is there
comparable?
Is there a certain technology that's come about? You said the digital age. Can you be a little bit more specific about that? Is there like a certain type of camera, or what is it about that makes that physical change?
Film was an amazing process, but quite messy and quite toxic and quite expensive. And the digital era came in, and it just started to. You could do things for a hell of a lot cheaper. You could do things fast. You could turn over. You could turn around your show a lot quicker. You're skipping a whole process, and you know what you get right away. You can see on digital what you're shooting right away. You know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah, like I was going through film school around the time that high definition video was just kind of coming into favor, I guess you could say, around the time of the Phantom Menace and all this stuff. And, we always talk about how like film hates light, and it's a real pain in the ass to, light for film and develop it. And video loves light. And so like the lighting for video is very different than lighting for film. And it's just kind of interesting to see like how the industry has shifted to the high definition video that's faster, cheaper, easier to light. And I imagine that probably saved you guys a lot of trial and effort on a production like C.
It's not necessarily easier to light, because when you're dealing with different formats and different types of digital cameras, each one of those cameras behave in a slightly different way. So, for instance, on C, we shot in 65 mil, which is the largest, that's the largest format on the market today.
Yeah, that's like IMAX format, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and it's yeah. I mean, we were very fortunate to be able to keep that through all 3 seasons, and the information on those chips it's incredible how much information you've got, and all that does is make post production extremely happy. You've got so much information in, for lack of a better word, in that negative to manipulate that it just becomes a no-brainer, with digital and shooting for these amazing streaming networks that are up and running.
Yeah, that's why a lot of big name directors like Christopher Nolan, stuff like that, love to shoot in that format. Just gives you so much more stuff to work with.
Gives you so much more latitude. Yeah, so much more latitude.
Let me see if I can word my question right. So in my business, I work in the surveillance world, in the casino world. And my job is going to be, I can see it coming. I'm going to get technologied out in about 10 more years. The technology is already there. It's just a matter of how expensive it is for the casinos to buy right now. So do you is with the advent of new tech, like, Lucasfilm has the volume and that kind of stuff, do you see your profession changing in the future with how they're going to be shooting some of this stuff, or what's your thoughts on that kind of tech?
I have no doubt that we will evolve again very soon, and volume is something that is coming on really strong at the moment. A lot of shows are involved in volume. There's an upcoming project possibly that is pretty much all done in volume. But the thing about volume is you've still got to go shoot your background. You still have to go out and shoot all the backgrounds, and you still got to shoot your actors. So you're just doing it without going to location.
We were talking during one of our more recent podcasts about like our favorite moments that we had over the last year, and like when you have that "this is why I do this" moment. I was wondering if you have one of those "this is why I do this" moment on something that was really challenging for you.
Oh yes, when you are 2 feet away from Queen Kane and she's bringing it, and I'm behind the camera and I'm brought to tears, and it's just, you get so involved, and you have to be as a cinematographer, and you, that is why I really I feel incredibly blessed about being able to shoot both seasons of C, because I'm not one of those guys who can just shoot one episode. I got to see it through. And to be able to do that, you same as the night manager, you dial into the story and you dial into the actors so intensely that when you sit behind the camera and you have the scene unfolding in front of you, and the cane is bringing it on, you are kind of reduced to going, hell yeah, this is exactly why I do this. It just gives you chicken skin everywhere, and it's just and you just turn at the end of the take and you look at the director and he's sitting there the same way, and it's just like, oh my God.
I've noticed through a lot of the interviews that we've done with a lot of the other cast and crew, whenever anyone talks about Sylvia, the actor who plays Queen Kane, they talk about her almost as in awe. And I've noticed that you only refer to her as Queen Kane.
When she wasn't the queen, right?
Yeah. I just think it's really cool. Like I've noticed like everyone always sings everyone's praises on this show. Like I love the collaborative mentality of this show, but like in particular, anyone who we've talked to that has talked about Sylvia, everyone just sings her praises and talks about her as though she's on a completely different level. And I can't wait to talk to her.
Yeah.
Someday. Yes.
Yeah, she's an amazing. She's truly gifted.
Yeah. From episode 1, she's just been.
Oh, she had us hooked.
She has been the standout.
Yeah, she's truly gifted.
So, Michael, I wanted to ask you a little bit about some, wonky filmmaking stuff. So I'm going to throw out a filmmaking term that my co-hosts are going to give me a.
We should all go to the bathroom.
Weird side
Yeah, I'm gonna walk away for a while.
It's
Yeah, I'll go
called, yeah. It's called a mise en scène, and it's basically everything that's in the frame, and it's a filmmaking term to kind of like talk about the look and feel of stuff. And one of the things that I thought was interesting about C was that you guys did a lot of day for night stuff, where like for people who aren't familiar with that term, it's you shoot stuff in daylight or during the day or well lit, and then in post you make it look like it's nighttime. And one of the things about C is that it's a blind society, so there's not a lot of like natural light at night and stuff like that. So I imagine it was a challenge kind of coming up with how are we going to show night scenes in a blind society that doesn't like light torches and have like natural light to kind of light the frame. So I was wondering, could you take us through your process of figuring out how exactly to light the night scenes in this show?
Firstly, I'm going to ask you, what did you think of the night scenes?
I thought they were a bit dark. Just a bit.
There was two that I can think of. There's the one where Toad is at the bar.
Yeah.
And I noticed immediately, I'm like, I love the fact that there's no light, no torches, no nothing, because this society wouldn't need it. And then the second scene that I remember is the one where Jason Momoa takes on the assassins at night. I preferred the one where Jason Momoa takes on the assassins. There was something different about that scene where it felt more naturally lit. I don't know if lit is the right word for that, but
also the content was darker, so it didn't bother me that the scene was darker.
Yeah. The one with Hoon, what's his name?
Hoon Lee.
Hoon Lee. It felt very blue. It felt like there was a blue filter on that scene to kind of brighten things up. So, what was that like? What was the challenges of creating that scene?
So we were kind of in a situation once again that we really did not want to shoot at night. It would have changed the face of C completely. Firstly, Jason didn't want to shoot at night. No one wants to shoot at night, and we had a lot of night. Apart from which, we were one of the reasons was COVID. We really did not want to run ourselves and the crew into finishing work on a Saturday morning at 7 a.m. in the morning, during the day, which basically just tires everybody out, drains everybody, and sends you into flu and all sorts of things like that. So that was kind of one of the decisions which we made. The way I did that day for night stuff was rely heavily on post-production. I knew that this camera, the 65mm camera, had more than enough information to do exactly what we needed to do. Post-production could separate the actors from the backgrounds. So we could almost play them as two separate mats. And when I talk about mats, as two separate, completely separate entities. And I could literally light the background in post-production, and then I could light the actors in post-production. So we pretty much had to use quite a lot of light. When the sun was shining, which it was for the Hoon Lee scene, it was hugely bright sun, snow on the ground, bright blue day, and I had to use a lot of light, a hell of a lot of light underneath the bar awnings, just to get something on the actors' faces, to get some kind of contrast. So yeah, I mean, and then I knew that I could take it into post-production and actually light it in post-production. The very first time, I have to tell you, and I'll be honest, the first time that was aired, there was concern about the day for night stuff being too dark. You know, Jonathan phoned me and said, "Guys, this is too dark," and we started to come across all sorts of it, but it wasn't too dark. You know, we were looking at it on set and going, "It was not too dark, guys," and we were looking at the footage and we were looking at these wonderful monitors and we're going, "That's beautiful, it's beautiful." We're sitting in a black tent, but then we got onto Apple about it and saying, "What's going on, guys?" And then it started to become a compression issue, and so we decided to just lift it all up a bit, you know, and so we could, you know, could make anybody happy sitting on a TV who's not who's a TV that's not, you know, 8K and 65 inches. So it was a real challenge. It was a real challenge.
I don't remember there being any issues in the seasons we watched that were like, you know, the Game of Thrones episode.
Oh no, there was
where I couldn't see anything for an hour while the castle was getting attacked. There was none of that. And that, you know, and when that happens, it's very distracting and it's very frustrating as a viewer, you know. So, but I never saw any of that in C.
No,
not to that extent.
Definitely didn't have that problem.
Yeah. And also at the same time, like we have noticed that in season 2, like there was a lot of care taken to make things make sense.
Yeah.
You know, like the color had a reason, and it being shot in the dark and there are no torches. Well, there wouldn't be.
Yeah.
So I think like for this show in particular, it was a lot more forgiving of it being darker because it should have been.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was tough. It was hair raising. It was certainly a new way of doing day for night, because you just had to go for it. I mean, there was no other way. We just had to go for it and get it done in post, you know. And it was really hair raising. And when we first looked at it, we were like, "Whoa!" It was a scary thing to look at. But yeah, we went through collaboration and we dug in and we got it done. You know, we got something out of it.
If we had seen a bunch of torches in the background during those
we
night
would've
scenes,
called it.
we would have torn it apart.
What are they? They're blind. Why do they have torches?
What are those for?
I was like, can't we have torches? Haniwa can see. You know, Haniwa can see. Can't we have one torch?
No.
Torches. I'm like,
No, you can get away with it, especially with it being a wintertime in season 2, to have fires for warmth.
For warmth, yeah.
And you can kind of use that as
and put a little torch on the pissing pole so people know where it's at. Yeah.
Unless you have Archie in every single scene carrying a torch, it won't make sense.
I did think about that, is like with there being no light, what do Archie and Hannah, I call him Archie now, right? what do they do for light at night? You know, so they must have something.
This actually brings up another one of my questions that I had for you. So you've worked on Night Manager, which I absolutely love that show. I've watched it multiple times. And then what is the biggest difference for dealing with this kind of like a sci-fi post-apocalyptic world where nobody can actually see, everybody's blind? As a cinematographer, how do you show that difference between these two shows? Because they look very, very different if you watch Night Manager versus C. What were the technical changes you had to make?
I shot Night Manager on Red, actually, all 6 or 8 episodes on Red, which immediately changes the look of the film. I shot it on different lenses, shot it on Panavision Primo lenses, so it was just a totally different look and feel when you're working with wardrobe and you're working with special effects. You know, you can really dial it into a completely different genre. Yeah, I mean, Night Manager was another crazy ride. You know, another show which I did all the episodes, yeah, once again, just dialing into the content and getting it, getting it into a zone where it suits the characters and suits the story.
I can't hold back from asking about this show anymore. So Night Manager, I saw that as kind of Tom Hiddleston's like audition for a James Bond. Like if anybody was in line, for me personally, I would love to see Tom Hiddleston take on James Bond. Is that kind of what they had in mind for that show? Is that how Tom Hiddleston saw it, or how did you guys view the Night Manager, or was it completely Bond wasn't in the cards at all?
I'm not going to lie. There was talk towards the end of Night Manager about Tom being the next Bond. He's an intense guy, Tom. He's a wonderful guy, really well read, super intense on when you're working with him. He's incredibly dialed into his character. He would suit it down to the T. So there was talk about him at the end of the show. There's no doubt about that.
I was right.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But who knows? I mean,
see, I'm Team Hugh Laurie. Hugh Laurie for James Bond.
Hugh Laurie, he was a badass villain. He was great. What was it like working with him? Like I kind of got to know him in his show House, and when I saw him as a villain in Night Manager, I was like, a villain? That's going to be interesting. But he nailed it. What was it like working with him on scene?
He's a real character. You know, his sense of humor stays with him. It never leaves him. He's just a real pro, man. Total pro. He's great to work with. I don't have any. I got no comments about Hugh. And I had a wonderful lunch at his house in LA not too long ago with him. He's great. He's into his music. He's just a great human being.
Was there an intimacy coach on the Night Manager?
No, there was not.
No?
This was before the intimacy coaches became a thing.
Oh.
Oh,
The
really?
industry's changed, evolved, yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was that recent.
Yeah.
That
What qualifications do you have to have? An intimacy coach.
You just got to know how to be intimate with people.
Yeah.
Better.
I'm more of a.
He's logging into his LinkedIn right now.
I'm going to put it on my resume. See,
I actually think you have to go through some pretty heavy courses through the studios. No, it's become a real thing since Harvey got locked away and all of that. You know, the Me Too thing, and it's become a real thing, and rightly so.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad that there's a new industry now, I guess, for people to be like, let's make sure everything's on the level, guys. No freaking hoodwinking around here.
Actually,
Okay.
so, Jonathan couldn't speak highly enough about you when we were interviewing him. And, he kind of got to know you through your collaboration on Warrior, which is another great show that I have a lot of questions about. So I wanted to ask you, like, how did you and Jonathan start collaborating with each other? Like, what was your first project together, and how did, that transition into C?
I got sort of drafted into Warrior. The first season of Warrior, there was another DP, and they needed a South African DP because it was shot in South Africa to sort of double bank with the current director of photography. So we started to, we piggybacked episodes, and I got to know Jonathan pretty well through that. And then they came back with season 2, and they were like, well, why don't you just get Michael to just shoot it all? He knows the show, and then again, it's one of those shows where you can't just get someone else to shoot it. It's it's a very specific look and feel and tone, and so I was fortunate enough to be offered the show, and from then on, Jonathan was onto me, and Jonathan actually directed the first episode of season 2. So him and I shot that, and we just kind of really got on, and I really kind of really enjoy his company, and he and it's a wonderful collaboration between the two of us. I mean, I feel it's really beneficial for a showrunner or showrunner / writer / executive producer to be able to phone you at any time of the night and say, just totally be on a level where you can just be in touch with someone 24/7.
Are you working on season 3 of Warrior 2?
I'm not 100% sure yet, but for now, yes.
Do you want us to call Jonathan for you?
No, he wants me to shoot it, but there's a lot going on.
So I wanted to ask you, in Warrior, there are a lot of fight scenes, obviously. And, there were also a lot of battle scenes in C and stuff like that. So can you tell us the difference between shooting action scenes versus just like regular people talking scenes? Like, how do you prepare for that stuff? I imagine you shot a lot of the fight scenes in Warrior.
Yeah, I shot a lot of the fight scenes in Warrior, and most, if not all, of the fight scenes on sea. It's a different discipline. I mean, a fight scene is choreographed. It is rehearsed by stunt people. They present me with the rehearsal, and most of them are shot on the shoulder right here. So it's like you move in fight sequences. I'm moving with the fight. I'm in the fight. I'm involved in the fight, but I'm not there. So that's how I approach. If someone goes to ground, I go to ground. If someone uh, leaps off a cliff, we will design a shot where the camera will leap off the cliff, or I'll be waiting at the bottom, or I'll have 6 cameras on something flying off a cliff. So it's a very different dynamic to say a scene where we filming a dialogue scene where it's a lot more controlled. It's specifically in C, we made it a point of shooting one camera in season 2 because it just focuses everything up. It's just everything. It's just one camera, one or two actors, or 3 or 4 in some cases, and off we go. And So you can really dial into the essence of a scene with with one camera. Whereas a fight sequence, you get a take 2, you get a take 3, and you can use multiple cameras to achieve what you need to achieve.
What kind of work goes into those fantastic shots where it feels like it's all one cut, and you might have a couple hidden cuts here and there if you go behind somebody's back or something? What kind of work is involved in making those shots? Because they are so freaking cool, and I love it when shows take the time to do stuff like that.
Those are choreographed by the fight coordinator. And he would choreograph the whole sequence, and then you would get involved after the choreography. You'd be sent a sort of a visualization of the actual entire scene, and you take a look at it, and you'd see the way the stunt guys move the camera, what they're trying to achieve, how they want to hide the cut or not, how long and where it goes, and they would actually film it in a. If they can't have access, which they very often can't, they can't have access to the location where they're actually going to do the scene. They would create sort of a cardboard box, makeshift room sequence type thing, and then shoot it in that and present it to me, or a cinematographer, and then I would design it with them. And then very often on the day, some things don't work and some things do work, because very often they're holding a cell phone and running around with a cell phone, and the camera weighs 30 kilos, so we have to kind of make some kind of compromise at some stage. So yeah, that's how we prepare for that stuff.
I find these long extended one cut scenes that are popular now fascinating. Like the one that they did in Daredevil.
Yeah, Daredevil was a
and the
good one.
there's that one episode of that horror show that we watched. What was that show?
Oh, the House on Haunted Hill.
Yeah, it was just, I can't even imagine the planning that goes into making a shot like that, where it's just all one long cut. So yeah.
Here's a weird question. Has the technology for like Steadicams changed or upgraded at all over the years? Or is it basically like it is what it is, it works, you don't fix what's not broke? Like, how do you guys manage those shots where you're down on the ground with the actor and then you're getting back up, but it's all more or less pretty smooth?
It's a creative choice. Personally, I will always have a Steadicam with me on a show if I can, but if the budget allows. But I very seldom use it. Very, very seldom use it. I'll always fail to handheld, because that's the way I've been brought up. As a cameraman shooting movies that no one has ever seen. I used to do a lot of handheld, and I just love it. I love dancing with the actor and dancing with the scene.
Right on.
Do you ever use things like drones and things like that for any of these
wide shots and
for
stuff?
like wide? Yeah, I'm just really curious more about the technology that's available nowadays.
Yeah, we use everything. We use everything possible, but everything has its limit. And when you hit that limit, you handheld. So drones, I think there's certain laws you can only get within 10 feet of an actor with a drone. And then you go to handheld, and then you can use a little stitch in the edit to just tie you into that scene.
Yeah, drones are really loud too, right?
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, it's you ADRing everything right there, you know. So yeah, I mean, it's all dependent. It's all budget dependent as well. You know, on sea we were unbelievably fortunate, or I was unbelievably fortunate to just have the backing of amazing studio and amazing producers to have everything at my disposal. Really,
Yeah, I remember Tropper was saying that he seems like Apple is way easier to work with when you need something for the show than it would like
Like
a normal
Cinemax.
Yeah.
studio would be, like Cinemax or something. So I imagine you were probably able to get a hold of some really cool gear, right? So
we had cool gear all the time, every day. It was just, we lived on amazing cranes. I had the best people behind those cranes. We had drones. We had, it's just, yeah. We never really wanted for anything. It was just a great experience to have that.
Yeah, I'm sure that makes a huge difference in being able to enjoy the work.
It does, and it also streamlines the process because you're not trying to use something else to compensate for something that you can do much more streamlined than something else. So you're not compensating. You actually, you have the right tool for the right job.
So one of the interesting things about your experience is that you actually worked on a TV show called Black Sails. You were the second unit cinematographer, which I imagine you got all the stuff on the water. Can you tell us a little bit about the challenges of doing cinematography in like water tanks or like on the open ocean?
In Cape Town, we have we're very fortunate to have these sort of tidal pools, which is a tiny little wall which separates the ocean and the tidal pool. So we shot a lot of the boat stuff in the tidal pools, and then we had a massive tank. We have a massive tank here at the studio, so we put life-size boats in the water here in Cape Town, and yes, spent a lot of time underwater in chlorine pools. You jump in on a Monday, and you get out on a Friday, and your wetsuit is completely changed color from the chlorine, and it's working on water is incredibly slow, but if done right, it's great. I love working on water.
this is a weird comment, but I bet you have to be in like really good shape to be able to lug a camera around on your shoulder all day, to swim in a tank all day, to, be able to move and adjust with cameras on your back while during fight scenes and every kind of thing. I mean, do you have a home gym? You do like do yoga? What do you do, man?
What kind of cardio you put?
Yeah.
I surf, I cycle, and I do Pilates all the time. If I never did that, I mean, that was my morning regime in Canada. Was up at 5, cycle for an hour, and go to work, and then come home from work and stretch it out because that camera that absolutely breaks you after every day.
There's the answer.
Because we have a friend who's a cameraman, and he lugs around these cameras, and I've always wanted to ask him. It's like, how do you carry that thing around on your shoulder all day long? It just, I can't imagine it not getting monotonous after a while.
Are you ever worried about going Popeye where one trapezoid is like way bigger than the others? Yeah. Trapezoid. What do you call those shoulder things?
It's like, I'm looking at is one shoulder bigger than the other there?
You can tell Matt doesn't work out.
I don't cycle. I don't do Pilates. I don't do shit. Yeah.
No, it's you funny. I mean, that camera. I'd come home in the evenings a lot of the time and be buckled over in pain and just have to you if you're not with especially with that 65 mm camera, if you're not fit and you're not doing due diligence, it'll catch up with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine most of the camera operators look like Dave Bautista, full muscle. Yeah,
yeah,
traps for days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what a wonderful man as well, Dave Bautista. What an amazing man. a truly great man to work with.
Can you tell us, like, what was the story behind the scar on his head?
You know what? I can't tell you. I don't know.
I don't think they came up with an answer for that.
Even Frapper was just like, I think it was a
They're like, put something weird on it.
We got to get
We'll
the
come up with
makeup
a
guy.
reason later.
It gave me a headache every time I tried to shoot it, because any lights I put above him, it just was this big shiny head. Yeah, it just caught every light, and I was just like, put powder on it.
Michael's like, thank God he died in season 2. Yeah. Deal with that.
Oh, he nearly came back. He nearly came back in season 3. I don't know. He nearly came back.
It's like lighting that scar on his head was just too
That's too much work. It's too much work.
That was
Lights-
tough. It was too much work. I was just like, makeup, please. Help me out.
They spent $100 million lighting Dave Bautista's scarred head.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So since we've been talking to a lot of the cast and crew from C, me personally, I have learned like how many different facets of filmmaking there are, as someone who is a filmmaker. So we have a film school here in Las Vegas, and I was just wondering, for anyone who is watching or listening to this, like if you are in film school now, how would you go about becoming a cinematographer? I guess I just assumed that if you're in film school, you become a filmmaker. But now I know that there are so many different parts of the industry that you can go into and specialize in. So tell me about that.
Yeah. I can only speak really for myself, but as a cinematographer, get out of film school is what I say, and get onto set. That's what I say. I mean, I was never fortunate enough to go to film school. I mean, as a director or as a makeup or as something like that, yes, sure. But as a cinematographer, you really do the hard yards on set. That's where you really learn. All the facets of filmmaking is on the set. When you're in film school, it's extremely compartmentalized. Apart from when you shoot you get everyone together and shoot and have to shoot your year-end films or whatever you do. But as a cinematographer, is to get onto set and start doing whatever you can. I mean, I made coffee for 4 years, so a loader, focus puller, camera operator, DP. So do the time is what I say. Is do your time. I mean, there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of fast tracking going on in the film industry right now, and there's something to be said about the old grey head guy sitting in the corner, who's got 30 years of experience, who can help anybody. He can help you out.
I think that's great. I heard making coffee, gets you straight up to be president of giant multinational film corporations.
That's right. You can do it right.
I hear Disney really fast tracks people. Yeah.
I knew you were going to do that. I knew you were going to do that. You couldn't help it, could
Couldn't
you?
help it. No, I couldn't help it at all.
I
No,
make
he's sitting over
coffee
here.
for these guys now,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm on the fast track.
Yep.
Jude's now the producer of the show.
She's going to be the president.
Salty's over here going, "Don't you do it?
Don't say it.
Don't do it." But it's okay. Coffee, the secret to success.
Fired.
Yeah. So I've been able to ask James Madigan and Chris Arruda, like, what are their dream jobs? What franchise would they have always wanted to work on? Is there a franchise that you have always wanted to be a part of, whether it's Marvel, Star Wars, or pick one? What's that white buffalo for you?
You know what I'm really loving at the moment is Yellowstone.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Team Rip, baby.
We love Yellowstone. I can't get Kadish into it.
I just started watching the 1883 show that came out, the prequel for it.
So he watches the second show first.
Of course he
It's
does.
a prequel.
No, we love Yellowstone. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not. Yellowstone is not really about the cinematography at all. It's about the story, right? It's about those wonderful characters. I don't know, I've just shot one of the most amazing shows ever. I'm so confused. I don't know where to go or what to do next. I don't know. I mean, at this stage, no. There's nothing that I would want to. There's obviously lots I'd love to be part of, but at the moment, I'm just sort of numb from what I've just done, to be honest.
Yeah.
Happy where you're at. That's good. That's a good feeling to have.
Yeah, I'm very happy. Very happy to have achieved what we've achieved and done what we've done. We left nothing on the table. We left absolutely nothing on the table on C1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
So speaking of leaving nothing on the table, what can you tell us about season 3? What's the hot goss?
And before you answer that, like everybody has been very forthcoming up until now. So I just want you to be in really good company with what you tell us.
Was totally cool.
Told
with
us
whatever.
everything.
Yeah, he said it was
Told
fine.
us everything.
Okay, I'll tell you.
This will not be on the air.
I'll ruin it for everybody. No. Let me just tell you, it's shot in the summer.
Thank God for that.
It's all shot in the summer. So
Okay.
All right.
very
Right on.
different look and feel to season 3. That's all I can really say about it.
Right on.
Okay.
Season 2.
So I wanted to get your opinion on something. What would you say is a movie that has just absolutely spectacular cinematography? The look and feel, in your opinion, is just like AAA.
Ooh, and piggybacking on that, tell me what you think is overrated.
Yes.
I got one film in particular which I really love and I reference a lot, and it's In the Mood for Love. It's a Wong Kar-wai film. A Wong Kar-wai film which I really love. That is a very different film. It's set in sort of Hong Kong, China, and it's just a beautifully shot. It's a frame within a frame. Christopher Doyle is one of my favorite cinematographers of all time. And then the other one is on the other end of the spectrum is City of God, which is shot in Brazil, and it's just another incredibly sort of energetic, amazing film about the favelas and the and gang. It's a great film. And then of course, and then on the other spectrum is, I think another one that comes to mind is The Big Lebowski.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love Lebowski.
Yeah, we love that movie.
It really ties the room together.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about the spectrum of films that I really love, those are the 3 that kind of sort of have molded me in some way or other and affected me and affected what I do.
Is there any film out there that when you watched it, you were like, I would have done things differently?
A lot of films. I mean, I drive my family crazy when I sit and watch films. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that's like watching things with Kadish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always like, I wouldn't have written it that way.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's like, oh, I really love that. It's really interesting to see different people's perspective of cinematography and how they most naive things sometimes are the most powerful things, right? The most naive scenes and the most sort of scenes that you'd come out of nowhere, like The Night Manager. The director of The Night Manager, out of nowhere, she would just swing a scene, and it was just incredible to watch Suzanne work.
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes in that show in particular was the dinner at the restaurant on like the balcony or whatever.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I don't know why. I can't tell you. I don't know the technical reasons why, but
what was this when the kid got kidnapped?
Yes, right? Yes, during the kidnapping. Yeah. I love that scene. Just the way the politics was working at the table, because there were so many enemies among friends. It was so awesome. I love that scene.
Yeah, and Suzanne is a special gift. It's like you would think of it, us males, and excuse us males, as sometimes we have and you have a way of thinking and a way of doing something, and she just come out of the left field and just change something that would absolutely like go, wow, I just never thought of it like that. Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. That's crazy. Let's do it.
the singular shots of like just one actor in a frame and their like reaction to somebody that they're looking across the table at is just, it was so freaking cool. And it built so much tension. And then when that scene peaked, when the kid got kidnapped, I was just like, I was into that show, man. I freaking loved it. I'm so glad you worked on it, so I get to talk to somebody about it.
yeah. No, that kid's gone on to be a big star, huh? Yeah, he's in everything. He's doing really, really well.
And again, Tom Hiddleston did amazing in that, and I'm sold for him. If he becomes the next Bond, I'm in 100%. I know Craig just ended his role.
Yeah, for him, I hope it comes off. I mean, he so deserves it.
Yeah, it'd be great.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about your work with Anders Engstrom, who's the director for seasons 2 and 3 of C. I know that you know in TV it's very rare to have like a director who does like all the episodes. So can you tell us a little bit about like how Anders works? Like we'd love to have him on the show to interview him about stuff. But what was your collaboration with him like?
We pretty much lived together for 2 years. I cannot say enough about his enthusiasm for the show. I don't think anyone can say enough about him and his drive, enthusiasm, professionalism. He was absolutely amazing to work with. He left me to my own devices pretty much, you know, which is in 2 years on a project that size, working 6 days a week together is unheard of. He was truly, it's a true pro, man. It's just, he's an amazing man.
That's great. Yeah, I once spent 6 days with these guys, and we almost killed each other at the end of it.
He's just here. He's just incredible. Yeah.
So to go 2 years with somebody and not want to choke him out, that's quite the feat. That's good.
Choke him out.
Good for you guys.
I'm going to choke you out after a couple hours.
Yeah. We talk every week still. We had I very nearly, at the beginning of C, it was a tough thing to come on to C because the expectations were so high, and it was like, it was this look and the feel, and you got Francis and a whole nother camp that was involved in the show, and we were kind of the newbies coming in to set up this whole thing. It was a super tough thing to navigate, and then you get onto the show, and you got, I had one interview with Anders, and he was going, "Oh, that's the guy I want." And obviously Anders had his own guy, and who was attached to the show, and Jonathan was kind of pushing me, and it was kind of tricky. But once we hit the ground, it was just like jelly. It was amazing.
Michael, thank you so much for joining us. I think we're all out of questions. You have a fantastic resume. You got C, Warrior, Black Sails, The Night Manager. I hope people, if they watch this interview, I hope they go check out your stuff and have a different perspective on it, knowing who's behind the camera. So thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And I'm really looking forward to more projects that you're working on with season 3 of C. And then if you're going to be doing Warrior, looking forward to that as well. Where can people find you? Do you have a social media presence at all? Do you have an Instagram where people can check out some of your photos or your work?
I've got a website which is it's under my name, www.michaelsnyman.com or .co.za, I think. Yeah, and it's I have a website. You can go and check it out there.
Cool.
Right on. All right, let's sign off.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Yeah, thank you. We're so happy to have you on. Matt, where can they find you on the socials?
Well, I'm going to have to go watch The Night Manager now because I haven't seen it.
I know. I haven't seen it either, and you're making me want to.
I know. Me too. Yeah, that sounds like fun. But yeah, you can find me at MattBader74 on all the socials, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube.
Right on. And Jude, where can they find you at? You
can find me at I am Jude Juju on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and check out our Facebook page, the Salty Nerd Podcast on Facebook.
All right. Matthew Kadish?
All right. Before I sign off, I got 2 quick questions.
Oh, Michael. Of course you do.
Of course.
First of all, how do you pronounce Archie's last name?
Oh.
Pass.
Okay, fair enough.
That is exactly the same answer everyone else we've asked has said.
And secondly, is there going to be a season 4?
No.
That's not very nice. Man.
No, not that I know of. We may be doing reshoots for season 3. Who knows? I don't know, but not that I know of.
I'm upset now.
Dun, dun,
Okay,
dun.
so it's basically a trilogy.
Tropper's like, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah, I don't.
Those
think
2
he will.
seasons back to back broke everyone.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, that's a shame. But you can catch me at Matthew Kadish, Kadish on Twitter, and kadishbooks.com takes you to my Amazon page.
All right, guys. And you guys can, of course, find me on our Discord app. Go to saltinerdiscord.com. I am in there in the chat every single day talking with fans of the podcast. We have a chat room set up for all the different shows that we talk about, C included. So come over there and join me. And if you're a fan of Night Manager, please, I need more of you to come. So come and hang out and talk about Night Manager with me because I'm down for that. But thank you again, Michael. We really appreciate you being with us today. And I hope everybody has a great day and stay salty, my friends.